Hey everyone, Saul from Three Kingdoms Games here. Coming to you today with a game that I'm surprised by how much I like. Now, I first said that a couple months back when I did the How to Play video, and I still stand by that. Because generally speaking, knockdown drag-out games aren't my thing as much. I do have some of them, I have played them, and I won't completely turn them down, but usually speaking, not my first choice. The game I'm talking about today is Dungeon Mayhem. It's a 2 to 4 player knockdown drag-out game by Wizards of the Coast with a light D&D flavor. Now, Wizards of the Coast did something smart. A few months ago, they sent me a free copy of this, and I started demoing it almost immediately. And I have probably played over 100 games in store, let alone what I've played outside of the store, because it is that simple, that fun, and that quick. It's a 2 to 4 player game. It can handle 2 very well. 2 players, tons of fun for this game. It's that head-to-head duel kind of feel. 3-player game, slightly better, because you'll have more room for politicking, which is what you want in games like this. Politicking, being able to, try and manipulate people, because it adds a depth of play that just a head-to-head game won't have. Because I don't think you can talk someone into attacking themselves. If you can, let me know, because that's a skill. I want you on my team in a whole bunch of games. Now, games like this with 3 players do have generally an issue. What will end up happening is one person gets ahead, and the other 2 decide to beat them down. And usually by the time they stop, they're knocked out of the game. Which means you have one person sitting out while another 2 people now play their game. Little bit, yeah, it's a bad feeling to do that to someone. Now, 4 players is the best number for this game. You'll notice that with a lot of games that say 2 to 4 players, generally speaking, 4 players, it plays better. This one is no different. Because with 4 players, you have more politicking, more goading, and generally more player interaction. And one person won't just be knocked out that quickly, usually. One person, might get ahead, they'll get knocked down, now someone else is ahead, they'll get knocked down, and you start, going back and forth a bit more, which is what you want. The 10-minute time frame is very appealing to me, because for casual gamers, like some of the people I know, some of the people who come to the store, the idea of an hour and a half to 2-hour game, which will appeal to a lot of more serious gamers, won't appeal to them. So the fact that you can play in, let's say, an hour play session, 6 games, that's assuming table talk and all those things don't add to playtime, which they always do, but it's part of the game. You can play potentially 6 games, or however many games. Play first to 2, first to 3, best of 7, whatever you want to do. There's 4 different characters, all which have, like I said, light D&D flavor, which means in future, easily they can expand and add more characters if they want to, mix and match, things like that. The 4 characters that you can see on the screen. You have the Barbarian, right here, the half-orc Barbarian. Very standard D&D kind of character nowadays. You have your human sorcerer / wizard, your elf, paladin, and your tiefling rogue. So they decided to stick to the more popular races, which is, again, smart choice, more likely to appeal to people if they are getting into it for the D&D thing. As well as the art on the cards suits it fantastically. They kind of captured the characters the way they wanted to with the art. Each deck has its own little bit of a unique play style. Now, there are certain components that are shared between decks, certain types of cards, things like that. 1 damage, 2 damage, do a damage, play an extra action. Things like that will be in all the decks, but you also have a handful of unique cards that are completely unique to each deck. So replay value gets really high at that point because you can always just switch out characters with each other. Also, again, because of the 10-minute playtime, replay value I find will be higher because it doesn't take as long to play. The art, I'm going to touch on again, I think is fantastic. It's done by the same guy who did Vast the Crystal Cavern, which if you haven't played it is a fantastic dungeon crawler style game, and I think everyone should play it at some point if you're into those kinds of games. If you want another depth of fun for this, start doing a little bit of voices. Start having fun with it. Get into the characters a little bit that you're playing. Even though it's for only 10 minutes, when you do that for games, it adds a depth, it adds fun, which ultimately is what you're doing for these games. Card quality is great. I think it's, pretty standard for what you get out of these kinds of things, cards and cardboard. I wish they were standard size, which surprises me they weren't, because, D&D being made by Wizards of the Coast, who does Magic the Gathering, which uses a standard size card. But this uses a Euro standard, so it's a slightly narrow, a little bit shorter standard card. Almost like a bridge size card. It's kind of weird to me that they use a slightly smaller card, but they did. I don't think it detracts from the game so much. It just means you have to get specific sleeves if you wanted to sleeve up this deck. So, there you have it. That is Dungeon Mayhem, a knockdown dragout 2 to 4 player game by Wizards of the Coast. I think this is a fantastic game that everyone should have. I've personally bought a copy since I started demoing it because I just had so much fun with it. Now, you can follow us on all major social media. That will be in the description box below. You can find the how to play video also in the description box below, as well as somewhere on the screen over here, most likely. Follow our blogs at threekingdomsgames.com. Those come out weekly. As well as you can always drop into store at either Markham or Toronto and see what's going on in store. I'll see you next time.